It's here, the HXT, so let's build it. But first, grab some household scissors and a Phillips screwdriver.
Before we get started, it's important to know that we always recommend that your bicycle be professionally assembled. Or if you choose to follow this video and do home assembly, we recommend that a professional bicycle mechanic safety check your bicycle before riding. Now let's get started.
Before opening the box, just take a picture of the serial number, which is posted here on the outside of the box, right under the model name. And keep that in your records. Now let's open up the box. Ooh, it looks so cool. In the box, you'll find a seat and a parts box. So let's just lay everything out, open up the parts box, and check through what we have. So in your parts box, you've got manuals for most of the major components. So for your brakes, for your fork, for your belt, and for your gearbox, and for the Smart Shift system. But most importantly, we've also got the priority manual and the tools for the assembly, and the charger for your Smart Shift gearbox, along with some instructions for it. Pedals, and these are pins that you can use to change the height of your dropper post. We're not going to get into that today, but you can check with 1UP for more information on that process. And we've got a rear reflector, and there's our shock pump. On the front wheel, there's a cover for the front disc brake rotor. When you go to remove this, be careful because it has a tendency to pull this wheel cap off. So if your wheel looks like this and it's missing a cap, check the packaging material. It may be stuck on it. So make sure that that cap is installed in the wheel. Okay, so take that 4mm Allen key and remove the stem faceplate bolts. Now take your handlebars and place the handlebar in the stem, making sure that the cable routing is such that the rear brake and the shift wire for the gearbox are running around the front to the left side of the bike, and that nothing's wrapped or tangled in any way. Go ahead and hold that faceplate in place and start threading in the stem faceplate bolts. You want to get generally the handlebar angle that you'll want, which is about 45 degrees between the grip and the brake lever. And you want to make sure that these white lines on the handlebars that show the rotation and orientation of it, you want to make sure that there's just a little bit sticking out on each side and that it's even, and that's how you know that the handlebars are centered. Now, as you're tightening these stem faceplate bolts, you want to make sure that they're tightened nice and evenly. So work your way around in a star pattern and check the gap between the faceplate and the stem itself, making sure that it's even between the top and the bottom of the stem. While we're here in the front, let's tighten up the front reflector so everybody can see you on the trail. The last thing we want to do while we're here at the handlebars is hit the dropper lever, and that's going to extend the dropper for us so we have easier access to install the saddle. All right, now let's install the saddle. So first, grab your 5mm Allen key and loosen the seat post clamp bolts here at the top of the seat post. One nice feature of the 1UP seat post is that if you almost completely loosen the bolts, you can remove the top and bottom parts of the seat clamp itself. So that means that you can leave this bottom part on the post, take the top half of the seat clamp, and just drop it right on the rails of the seat itself. And then you can place it where you want. You can just take the bolt and then just hook it right over the top. And now just start tightening it to level off the saddle as close as you can. You're probably going to need to readjust the angle of the saddle once you install the front wheel, but aiming the nose of the saddle at the handlebar where it is right now should get you pretty close. Now let's install the pedals. So have your 15mm wrench at the ready and grab your pedals. Take note that they're labeled with stickers. One has an R on it, one has an L on it. They are side specific. So let's start with the right pedal. The right pedal is standard thread, so that means that it twists clockwise to install it. I'm just going to start it off by hand and go as far as I can. Now that it's most of the way there, I'm going to finish it off with the 15mm wrench. So hold the rear wheel in place with one hand and use your 15mm wrench to tighten that pedal down nice and firm so the tool leaves an imprint in the palm of your hand. Now let's do the left pedal. Even if you're missing the sticker, you can always identify the left pedal by these lines in the spindle. And different from the right pedal, the left pedal threads in counterclockwise. So I'm going to do this by hand as far as I can go first. And now just keep it going with the 15mm wrench. Now that it's almost tight, get the wrench on the pedal spindle and hold that rear wheel in place again, and then just turn against it, nice and firm, so the tool leaves an imprint in the palm of your hand. So now let's install the front wheel. Now to make this easier, I'm going to flip the bike upside down. Now use your 6mm Allen key to remove the front through axle. And take out this packaging material. And don't forget to remove the brake pad separator. Hold on to this just in case you want to travel with your bike. Now grab your front wheel and identify which side the brake rotor is on. And that's the side that you want on the same side as the caliper. So for me, it's on the right side over here. And just going to aim that rotor for the inside of the caliper and drop it in from the top. You might need to push the dropouts a little bit, and then it should just fall in place. Now go ahead and take your through axle, insert it through the dropouts and the wheel, and tighten it up. This does have a torque rating on here of 9 Newton meters, so if you have a torque wrench handy, go ahead and use it. Otherwise, just snug that up nice and tight. The HXT comes with the dropper post. We already took care of the cable routing for you, so the cable was running from the front to the back, through the down tube and through this gusset, up through the seat tube. So just be aware of that when you go to adjust your seat height. If you want to bring the seat up a little bit, just pop open the quick release clamp. And as you're pulling the seat post up, you want to feed a little bit of this housing into the frame, just to give the seat post a little bit of room to work with there. And then go ahead and lock that down when you're ready, and then just double check that it's functional. If you're feeling resistance when pulling the seat up, just feed a little bit more housing into the down tube. If when you sit on your seat and it drops without you hitting the dropper lever, you want to make sure that that cable is fed in. It might not be completely in place under the seat post. To get your HXT feeling just right, you'll want to make sure that the front fork is pumped up to the proper pressure. Fox includes a chart as a rough guide to help you set up your fork, and we include a shock pump to help as well. To add or remove air from the fork, remove the cap here, take your shock pump, and thread it onto the valve. You'll hear a hiss of air as the pump connects, and you'll see pressure register here on the dial. Pump it up to the desired amount, and at this point it's a good time to check sag. So get on the bike and see how far the suspension compresses with your weight on it, and slowly get off. You want your sag to be at about 20%. You might want to have a friend hold you while you're doing this, or lean against a wall, but allow the suspension to compress under your weight. Now gently get off and check the location of this O-ring. The O-ring should have traveled 20% through the suspension. If it's not quite 20%, you want to take a little air out. If it's a lot more than 20%, you want to add some air. Now go ahead and just remove the shock pump from the fork. A little air will escape, but that's okay. It's just the air from inside the shock pump itself. Once you've got the air pressure sorted out, it's time to set the rebound on your fork. Now a good test for this is to push down quickly on the handlebars and pull your hands away as fast as you can. If the handlebars are keeping up with your hands really easily, then you want to slow the rebound down by turning this dial towards the plus side. If the handlebars aren't keeping up with your hands at all, you want to turn the dial to the minus side, speeding up the rebound. The dial's here on the bottom right, and there's a nice little chart to show you which direction to turn it. When you're ready to charge the bike, take the charging port and remove the cap. Now, plug in the charger, making sure to align the pins and you're set to charge. If you need a little extra length, you can pull more cable out of the bike. At rest, the Smart Shift system is in sleep mode. To turn it on, just hit one of the shift buttons. That'll wake it up. If you leave it for a while, it'll go back into sleep mode to save battery. Let's walk through how to use the Smart Shift app to connect to your bike. Yeah, in the App Store, search Smart Shift. Pinion Smart Shift will come up. I've already downloaded the app, so here it is. So I've added a few bikes already to my device list, but to add a new one, hit Add Device. Now hold down the lower shift paddle for 5 seconds, and it'll beep. Here we go. Now go ahead and connect. When in doubt, hold that bottom shift paddle. I'm going to rename this. Now, let's configure the Smart Shift. So, in the settings here, you can do things like change the orientation of the shifters. I prefer standard trigger mapping as opposed to reverse. You can calibrate your Smart Shift. They come calibrated from the factory, but you can always do it again here. We can hear the gearbox calibrating now. And it's all done. The other thing that you can see here in the app is the charge of the battery. Right now it's at 28%. And you can see what gear I'm in. So I'm in gear 1. Let's shift it up. Now it's in gear 2, gear 3, and so forth. Now it's time to install your rear reflector. You need a little bit of seat post showing here to get it around. But go ahead and take your Phillips screwdriver and screw that screw in place to clamp it on. Don't forget to inflate your tires. The recommended PSI is marked on the sidewall of the tire. Now that we've finished the basic assembly, be sure to go through, touch every bolt, and make sure it's nice and snug and nothing's loose. But before taking the bike out on the trail, be sure to bring it by your local bike shop for a safety check. If you have any more questions about the HXT, this assembly, or any of our other priority bikes, please reach out. Our customer service team is happy to help and we're available 7 days a week.